Jackson County Commission Work Session, December 18th, 2017. Ms. Johnson, would you do a roll call for us, please?
District 1, Tim Guffey.
Present.
District 2, Jason Venable.
Present.
District 3, Maria Everett.
Present.
District 4, Sis, not here. And the chairman is present.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, if we would have the invocation, Mr. Porter, would you advise, please?
I will. God, our Father in heaven, we're blessed. We're humbled to be in your presence. We're thankful for the men and women that serve this county so faithfully and do such hard work. So God, we're thankful for them. We're thankful for their families. We pray you'll be with us all during this holiday season. Pray for all the folks of this county. Pray that we have a good holiday season. We always remember the reason that we're here. So God, we pray you'll continue to watch over us and guide us every day. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Mr. Guffey, would you do the pledge of allegiance for us, please?
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First thing that we have tonight is the approval of the agenda. Are there any changes need to be made before proceeding? Do we have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion, we have a second. We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. All opposed say no. Now we have a call for a public hearing on the application of the Tennessee Valley Authority to vacate a portion of County Road 96.
Mr. Chairman, the county received a request from the Tennessee Valley Authority to vacate a portion of County Road 96. The description of that is attached to their request and also the resolution. It's a small portion, very short portion of that road. It matches up to what has already been vacated previously and comes off of Highway 277, I think. But anyway, in order to vacate that part of the road, Tennessee Valley Authority owns all the property on both sides of the road. It will not affect anybody's access to the road, and there are no utilities in that section that would be affected. If the commission may recall, this was done previously. We vacated another portion of County Road 96, and the utilities either moved the utilities that were in that easement, or they said they did not have any that needed to be moved. So that's really all I have. Tom Brinkley is here. And they can answer any other questions, specific questions anybody has about the section of road that is to be vacated. The engineer may have some information. That's all the information I have.
Mr. Campbell, you have any that you'd like to add?
As Mr. Porter alluded to, half-mile section, Tom, correct me if I'm wrong, 70-96 intersection northeasterly, a half mile, the previously vacated section there. So it's essentially, if you use that roadway, it's what's been barricaded and closed for some time now.
That's correct. Thank you.
Okay, with that, I entertain a motion to approve the resolution to grant the application of the Tennessee Valley Authority to vacate that portion of County Road 96 as it is described in the application, and to direct the publication and recording of such action as required by law.
Make that motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. And Mr. Porter, you said this would require the signature and the
You don't have to do it right now.
posting of this.
I need the notice to go back, and once you sign it, then I'll take it and publish it in the paper one time.
Okay,
So just whenever you get those signed, I'll get it back.
okay, thank you.
The resolution will have to be recorded in the probate office, and I'll take care of both of those once they get signed.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Next thing we have is public comment from citizens. First off, we have Mr. Bob Matthews from Section, Alabama. He is here to discuss a drainage issue on his property. Mr. Matthews?
Thank you, Chairman. I assume most all of y'all know me, and I'm sorry, I don't recognize the me as I should here. Are they familiar with the ditch?
Yes.
Okay, there's two reasons. One reason, since the housing project, the city did away with the lagoon system, sewer system. The ditch has become mosquito haven. There's all that water down there, we didn't have that many mosquitoes up there. But since it has been done away with, sewer system put in, the mosquitoes moved up there. And the dry day in the summertime, you can look at that and pass it around. That tile will have water in it. And mosquitoes, and no problem. You can go down there, and I've never caught one, but I saw them down there. Neighbor over there has killed them down there. So that's the number one reason, my reason, for wanting this fixed and fixed out. The main reason each one of y'all should want it fixed is because during a real rainy season, and I really expect it to happen this year, and I'll show you later, the whole Main Street from the red light, it don't flood all the way up there, but probably about two, from the dollar store on down the north section, becomes impassable. Now in 2012, 2009 is when we would send the trucks out there and bring the road blockade to high water. And that went on, I don't know how many times that we would call. Sometimes I'd have the police call, sometimes I'd call myself. And here, you can see the yard. Okay, that's the yard on the corner. This is Pendergrass. And her steps is about 10 or 15 feet from that. That's how far the water. Now, the whole street was covered with water. The whole street was covered in, and probably that day, I'm sure I got pictures of the blockades out there. And this is a picture of the other side. That's the house over there, that's where the water comes. And the cemetery street runs right down through here. So that should be a concern of everybody's. And 2012, county came out. Well, let me back up to in the 60s. In the 60s, you remember the state did all road work for the older people. The county didn't really have road work. The state built them and maintained them. Sometime in the 60s is when the law passed and the counties took over all the roads. It could be a county road or it'd be a state road. Main road, like 35 states, 72 is state. But the county was maintaining the roads. So that was the latter part, I think, of the 60s, but in the late 60s, the state come in through some political action, and at the red light, and prior to this, if you remember, if you've ever out there, it was just a wagon road, or originally a wagon road. But then, certain ones got together and they got blacktop from where the red light is down to the Baptist church. And that was just a wide wagon road blacktop. So in the 60s, that's when they pulled the strings and got the state come in there and make a 4-lane, or a good 3-lane, out of that same street. That at the time that the state dug this ditch. There was no ditch there. The water that come off over this field just flowed out in the fields there, where my house is, from cotton field. So the water just flowed out in there. So the state dug this ditch from the stop sign up there, right near it. Put a manhole up there, humongous manhole. And they tied that picture where the woman's yard, Mrs. Pendergrass's yard, they're gonna tie on the cemetery street to tie into that street. And it worked great. But in the later years, when it started stopping up, because everything off that street, beer cans, Coca-Cola bottles, leaves, tons of leaves every year, washed it off that street, right down that ditch, all the way down to the housing project. Now the housing project ditch is all cement, so the water, if it gets there, it flows real good. But from the end of this tile, if you looked at one of those pictures, it can't, and you can clean it out every week, and it's still not gonna keep this tile clean. Always, and nobody's gonna clean it every week, so I think it's over there. That's a picture of it, it's passing around. That's the end of the tile.
You'll notice on the pictures that he's referring to, the end of the tile is on private property.
If you'll notice how deep the water's standing, your hand raising, oh, this picture been made on it. I don't know when. So, that tile is filling up. I guarantee you, if you go out there this afternoon and take your stick or something, at the end of the tile, it'll be 6 inches, maybe 8 inches of mud. Where it's already washed off the street up here and got to there. And this picture here is the same as those, except it shows you from the tile to the main street up there. This picture shows you from the same thing you're looking at, all the way up to where the manhole is. Now in 2012, they come in here and tore up, and I offered to give them an easement to start with, because I was begging them to get that road cleared out. And I offered to give them an easement. Well, I said, talk to the lawyer. They said, we don't need to easement, so they do it. So they did it. Told them, oh, they're gonna cause other people to walk there, done too. Ain't nobody else got a drain made by the county, our state, across the property that I know of. So, when this here, when it completely starts blocking the main street, I just don't feel comfortable giving you an easement, or saying, oh, just dig it up again. I mean, I wish that we could get it done, and that right now, if you want an easement, I'll give you an easement. If you'll do it, and do it right. It's about 150 feet from here, back up here to Scottsboro. I'm not sure on that, but it's close to 150 feet. So, when this main street, when this here stops letting the water go down, this main street will be completely blocked. So I'm just asking you to get rid of mosquito havens for the people, because these are the housing projects there. I mean, believe me, back in the summer, you couldn't get out there without being eaten up. Little kids. I mean, anybody. The mosquitoes were eating them up. I know when Matthews come out, he come out in shorts one day. I said, you're crazy. You can't hang around out here in these shorts. My back day. I mean, I can't sit out there. I mean, I've got every kind of mosquito convention that there are. But to get rid of mosquito haven and to keep the road from being blocked again, and it's gonna happen. It may not happen in winter, but when I look at that tile, I got there yesterday looking at it. I said, it's almost half built up in there now. It's not water, it's just dirt with water on top of it. Because the ditch is so stopped up down through there, it won't run out.
Yeah.
Any questions?
Mr. Matthew, I walked in late right there. I've got some places just like this over Pike Rock Valley. Is this on your property?
Yeah,
Huh?
yeah.
Well, I mean, you know, I've got 3 different people that's called here in the last few weeks, because, you know, we're in a low lying area over there, and the beavers got it backed up.
Oh, well, I know.
And, you know, one guy, he lives in hospital, and he don't want to come in right there. And I said, well, only thing you can do is tear that beaver dam out, because we farm, we don't tear them out frequent.
Yeah.
And this is on 65 highway. I mean, it's fixing to come across the road there in Preston and places.
Okay.
You know, I told him, I said, you know, only thing I can tell you to do is go out there and get you a shovel instead of tearing that thing out.
Oh, yeah, the beaver, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's like it right there. I mean, I'm not gonna speak for the rest of them, but, you know, if it's on private property, you know,
Well, what can you tell me to do?
I guess you'd have to clean that ditch out, is what I have to do on my side.
You mean the roadblocks up there, I'd be put in jail for not cleaning the ditch out?
I'm not gonna say be putting, but I'm talking about your mosquito infestation.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You know.
Oh, we can deal with that, you know.
You know, I've had to clean this place out twice this past year, because we've had so many rains and things, you know. I mean, I've done it myself, so I know what it is. These beavers just back it up, and when it does, it fills it up. These 2 other people there, I told them the same thing. I said, tear it out.
Well, I can understand what you're saying about beaver, because you can't control beaver, no more like control weeds and the beer can, the Coca-Cola can, even young milk can. Buttermilk thing will wash down through there.
I know a lot of regulations you got right there, that's holding a lot of water back, just like that
Oh,
stump out there.
Well, in fact, it's holding all the water back in there right now.
It catches all
If
of
this
that.
were cleaned out, this water, tile would be empty.
Yeah.
Have you talked to the city of Section at all about cleaning it out? cities, municipalities can go on private property.
I have to speak that now.
Well,
Because I spent, 18 years as a mayor. And believe me, this would have been done years ago when I was mayor,
yeah.
if it had been legal for the town to do it. Because it's a county problem. City's got no authority in it. So, I mean, like I said, I may be wrong, but to my knowledge, no. The city could not. Now, the city, I understand from Matthew, he was there. He met with the mayor, and the mayor agreed to give money to help. Because everybody would like to have it. But now, how much money or what? So that's where we stand, but it's been talked about in the city council meetings for, God, I don't know how many years. But never, no way did the lawyer ever give me any earthly idea of it. Any way we could do it because it falls back in the county's hands. And like I said, the lawyer, I understand, had said it was legal to do it, but it would be opening up a can of worms for everybody else in the Paint Rock Valley and everywhere else because of drainage problem. So, but it was, my opinion, it would be better to do it and do it right and get it over with because the water could completely run off. Now it's backing up right here, in the tile, and but if it was done right, the water would run on out and it'd be there for 10 years.
That's your property.
Yes.
The way I understand the laws, we can't go on private property at all. All we can do is
I'll
right
give you an easement, I wanna go, I'll give you an easement.
I don't know of us doing that before.
I don't know if that's ever doing that either. Taking an easement from somebody to clean up a ditch on their own property. I just don't know if that's ever doing that. There are two issues. One is on private property, two is in the city section. Or the town section, so. I don't know what lawyer it was that said some time ago that it was legal, but this lawyer would say it's not. Because it's on private property.
What distance is that span? How long a distance is it?
How what?
How long a distance is that ditch right there?
That's roughly 150 foot from here to the street. It's a good 150 more feet.
Yeah, he's talking about from here, it needs to be cleaned out.
Oh. Well, it's a good. Don't you have it? I know
I
Matthew's
didn't
back
check
in
it
the
all, but it's probably, it's farther than the 150.
Yeah, it's a little farther than what's already there. But I don't, I've never measured it because it's a during rough for me to get there walking. But I know one time Matthew come out there and measured it.
I measured 375.
Okay.
How far?
375 is what I measured, Mr. Matthews.
From the street or from the
End of the pipe to where you and I looked at ending the,
Okay,
And where the concrete is behind the house project?
Yes, sir.
That far?
375. You were looking at this thing y'all measured, yeah.
yes, sir.
Any question I can ask, answer? You'd be doing away with mosquito haven. You'd be doing away with the road problem that's gonna be there. And I think everyone can see that it's gonna be there. So we can come out and put up the blockades or traffic things and live with it. If there's nothing else I can answer or say, I'll get out of your way.
Well, I appreciate you coming out, and we will discuss this more, but it's looking like a private property issue, and I don't see a solution right now, but we will discuss it farther. And
Okay, well, we
we'll go from
appreciate
there.
it.
Thank you.
Thank y'all very much.
Sir, I appreciate it.
Good.
Next, we have on public comment from citizen is Kara Waslow. Carrie.
Yeah, what I've got, I'm down at 1390 County Road 531. I bought a place down there spring of 2013, and shortly after buying it, I noticed one of my ditches wasn't flowing right, and took a shovel. There was debris that was in the tile that went through the road, Never had an issue with it after that until the Christmas floods. In 2015, my neighbor came over and said he was gonna partially divert it. It's flooding his dog pen or something down by his house. I had no problem with him partially diverting it because everybody was flooding. Come back next day, it's completely blocked 100%. Since that time, been dealing with Matthew Hodges and Mr. Campbell here. Was supposed to come out and fix the ditches, got it back where it's flowing right and everything. But never have came back and finished. I'm trying to just find some help, figure out when it's gonna get finished. And solve the problem with the erosion that is going on. Because the tile is completely stopped up now, which was stopped up by the county this time.
And when did they do that?
Do what?
When did they block it, the county?
You'll have to ask the engineer that for sure.
It was shortly after the phone call
Yeah.
that went out, after the December floods. It was sometime after the end of December 15.
Have you had flooding issues after?
Now I do, every time we get a decent rain, it floods my driveway out. I have video footage of it on my phone.
I come out and looked at it with them. What I had seen was, you know how the water comes down? It dead heads right there.
Yeah, because that tile stopped up.
Well, but you got plenty of ditch in the front. It's just my opinion. You know, in the front, it's deep enough and plenty, it looks to me like it'd carry every bit of the water if it was curved a little more. To where that water ain't coming straight down and just hitting and dead heading on the road. To me, that's a simple fix.
You tell me if that's a simple fix. You say when it gets down to the road.
And when was this rain?
Hmm.
When was this rain?
That was at the Christmas floods when it was unstopped.
Well, it's hard to compare anything.
Right, exactly. But then, that's the whole reason it stopped up now.
Right there's the problem.
The whole reason it stopped up now is because of the Christmas flood. If it wasn't stopped up now, we wouldn't be getting all the water on our side washing my driveway.
What I was gonna say, if you can't compare about any rain we get to the Christmas flood, that's a
Exactly.
100-year event.
But that was what it was based on to stop it back up.
Right.
That was the only thing that's the reason to stop it up. No other rain has
You
ever
don't
been
have,
complained.
you don't have no problem like this anymore, do you?
When it rains, if we get an inch of rain, my driveway floods out down there. It'll
At the
come
bottom?
up at the bottom.
Yeah. That's where I'm talking about if you could.
Well, I'm open for suggestions. He's been out there several times, Matthew Hodges has.
I'll see it, sir.
But since the tile has been closed, it now floods on County Road 737. Because all the water is running from our house, like you're saying, that ditch should be able to carry it all the way around. It doesn't, because then you start flooding at 737.
How far is that, would you say?
A mile.
Yeah, at least. As soon as you turn off of Old Larkinsville Road onto 737. And I work in Huntsville, so when I come in, I have to figure out the best way, because you guys know when it floods in Old Larkinsville Road, you can't go through the swamp. And I've been where I can't come home on 737 because the water's up the road.
If you went out your driveway, turn left. Go down.
How large a tile are we talking about?
This driveway pipe.
One that
This
goes
wall,
across County Road.
I don't recall the exact size. It's in the 24 to 36 range. We built a cap and installed over the inlet side of the pipe. And when we received the call, we were mindful, like you guys are talking about, that the December floods is basically an anomaly. But whenever we receive complaints about flooding issues, then what we try to do is take a stance of, if everything was kind of, at equilibrium or working before, then what has changed? So when we went out to the site, the factors on what had changed were, Mr. Waslow showed me where they had changed some terrain features to divert the water from their house, and it came to a ditch between him and his neighbor, and then came to the roadside ditch through that. So in that, doing that work is when the pipe was cleaned out, as I
The
understood.
ditch was already there when I bought the house. All I did was go down there and clean it out at the end.
Okay,
Now, behind my house where my patio is,
Right.
yeah, I sloped the bank to keep the water, because even during the Christmas floods, water was all the way up in my house.
got you.
There was nothing I could do about it. Nobody's fault. But it backing up down at the road and flooding across the road, whatever, that's not, I didn't cause that. But now that this has all come out, the culvert stopped up and I'm getting all the water. I mean, you were there, you know, you seen it, you seen the rain. If that tile's halfway unstopped, it's not gonna flood the other side of the road. Especially now that there's culverts put in of the proper size on the other side of the road.
Yeah. Well, in determining what had been done on the site to change things, that was our determination. The terrain had changed and changed the flow of water to that ditch between Waslow and his neighbor. And then where it met the roadside ditch, this pipe that had been clogged for some time, according to Mr. Campbell, years and years and years, this pipe had been clogged. And looking at the roadside ditch, there's a large capacity ditch on one side versus no ditch on the other. So it was our determination that if that pipe was opened up, that it would cause flooding on the downstream side of that. And the ditch had been carrying the water for however long that pipe had been stopped up. So the water, as it's designed, as that roadway is designed, it goes down into the curve and then crosses into the swamp, basically, that comes from 220. So it's the tributary area that feeds Roseberry Creek.
There's 4 culverts in that road, from the curve past my house to the curve he's talking about, and 2 of them stopped up right now. 2 of them are stopped up. The water was intended to flow from the ridge down across the road into what is called Hammond Bottom. Initially, when that was a church road. I know the guy that built the first house on the road, and he told me that tile was put there because that's where the water was drained through. By the county. You know, I'm not saying open it up and flooding my neighbor. I'm saying open it up halfway and let parts of the water go each direction, then maybe my yard won't be flooded. That's what I'm saying.
Because where you guys are talking about cutting it sharper, there's underground cables there.
Telephone
and you
cables.
can't-
Well, that's what we
Can't
thought,
do
but
that.
then we thought
Yeah.
they had been moved.
It can't
No,
be
I had my
done.
water meter moved where they could do something with the ditch. Nobody's ever come back and done it.
737 is huge. So what they're talking
So you didn't have it moved up?
Yes.
I think that's what I was.
Yeah, because it was eroding the water meters.
this is a
Yeah.
tributary coming to Roseberry.
So when they ran the water line, they moved everybody's, even ours
It's in the
up.
floodplain.
So you know the water dumping on is me. And I've been here since 1992.
And I'll leave, the previous, Mr. Gross that built the original house there, along with the neighbors that bought that house, will tell you that
culvert
culvert
was open.
had been open. And, the county had came out, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, and cleaned out all the, tiles down through there because they were having flooding issues then.
I mean, we never had a problem up until the Christmas flood, and I'd been there over 2 years, and there never was a problem, but then we have a Christmas flood, and my neighbor complains, which I'm sorry. I'm sorry if whatever got flooded on his house. But on a normal rain, it don't flood him, it don't flood us.
There's no ditch on my side of the road.
That's because they put
Every
the
bit
tiles
of it
in.
into my yard, into my house, into my pool. I've been there since 1994, never had a flood at all. You unstop that ditch, it puts every single bit of that water on my house that deep.
No.
But
I got,
here-
in
but
the
here's
video,
the
you can
thing.
see your yard's not flooded at Christmas.
I'm not gonna argue.
Okay, but we bought a house that's not in the flood zone. So therefore, we should not have to be dealing with flood issues because the person across the street is in a flood zone.
I'm not in the flood zone.
I mean.
I'm at 50
it's-
acres and 40 of it's not in the flood
Okay,
zone.
it's not basically, it's not our problem.
Is
We
there any
we should not
way,
have to be penalized.
any way that you see that would benefit both of them? I mean, I know you pulled this ditch in right there and you put that rock in, that was the whole purpose of taking care of it.
Yeah, the purpose of that was to prevent the erosion and help the water mitigate around that turn, because it has to make a turn, you know, and I have no doubt that drainage structure was put in place because that's where the water pours off the mountain. And they're getting a lot of water. And what they did, in my opinion, they had to do that to keep it out of their house. But it's past them at that stage. So if that pipe's opened, my opinion, he's gonna have a serious issue.
You think Mr. Campbell is gonna have a serious issue?
Mr. Campbell's gonna have a serious issue if that
If
pipe's
you
open.
open up
It
one
runs right
or
down my
both?
drive and down, there's no ditch on my side of the road. There's a
But
little
that-
swale, it's that deep. So when it comes up through that pipe, it's right at the head, so it either goes left or right. And it's
Can I ask something?
way, way, way too
Since it's
big.
my turn to speak. Mr. Campbell, you had 6-inch PVC tiles in your driveway.
Because there's no ditch on my side of the road.
Because you didn't dig it
I
up?
only put those there just to catch the water off the
Well, that's
road.
what we do. If y'all have a question, if you would address the chairman.
I'm sorry.
I put tiles in underneath my driveways when I built the house in '94, because they came in and paved the road 3 or 4 years later. When they paved the road, I caught the surface water running off the road onto my property. So we dug a little swell and we put little tiles in it, and then we paved our driveway.
Okay, on this public comment from citizens, let's let you folks say your piece, and then if Mr. Campbell wants to say something, he's welcome to.
And address your questions to him, and then we'll,
Okay, so when Matthew and Mr. Campbell came out the last time, the discussion was Matthew was going to open it halfway, the tile, the culvert halfway, so we could see what the results would be if it was opened halfway. That was a compromise between the two. And then that's when everything kind of fell to the wayside. We never heard any more.
Yeah, when Matthew left, nobody contacted us anymore or anything. They were supposed to come out and fix the ditch where they just threw riprap around in it and didn't really do anything, just dumped some in it and left it. And it's still eroding now.
and what's eroding is your driveway?
Yeah.
Well, if that's everything, I'd like to address Mr. Campbell, the engineer, on it, to just to clarify to the commission. As it is right now, you're saying if any of these two culverts open up, it's gonna flood the neighbor, Mr. Campbell?
Yeah, you know, our determination from looking at the site was it needed to be capped permanently, because if that water flows under the road in a sizable rainfall event, I don't have any doubt that it's gonna affect the downstream property, and that's Mr. Campbell.
And when you talk about flooding, Mr. Campbell, you're talking about flooding his house, his property.
His
not just
structures.
the land,
Yes,
but the
yes, sir.
structure.
Now, I'd like to ask one more question from you folks. When you say it floods your driveway, how much flooding are we talking about? We're talking about 4 inches over?
I'm talking what washes the gravel out of it and you have to put more gravel in it every time you turn around.
Is
There's
it-
no, and I haven't touched it because I was told it was gonna be fixed. So it needs gravel in it right now.
Does it have standing water
Yeah, it'll have standing water down holes where it washes the gravel.
over, how big an area does it have standing water? Big as a
In my
slide?
yard, actually, it'll stand about, 20 foot up into the yard, and then it'll go down. It takes a while, it'll go down. But, you know, the whole issue was promises were made, they were gonna come out and fix stuff, and then everything just falls to the wayside.
But the only damage you're suffering is the
That
erosion.
is my driveway,
Okay.
right
No,
now.
threatening your structure.
No.
Wow.
Mr. Campbell, you have anything else you'd like to add to this?
No, so I'll be happy to answer any questions you guys have. If you want to get a gauge for the erosion, those pictures you have there were when the work was done. So you could compare those to present day condition, if you guys haven't done anything. Being mindful that, in one of the pictures there on the after, you can see some water meters that were in the yard of the Waslows. There was a water project that came through and relocated those water meters and then added some riprap. But the time I was out there, I didn't see any significant difference from what it looked like when we installed it to now.
This is where it's
Fucked up bad.
This is where it's dead, isn't it?
Yeah.
And to my knowledge, Mr. Campbell hadn't been flooded since, have you had any flooding issues since?
That's the
within-
only time we've ever had any water come anywhere near our house since 1994. Except when that ditch has been opened up. And it's been not just clogged up, it was stopped, it was completely, there's never been any water out of that thing up until the time they undid it. Ever.
Did you have any flooding in Christmas?
We haven't had any flooding
I
at
mean,
all.
on that Christmas
Oh,
2015
yeah, I
flood.
was out there with concrete bags and rock and stopping it up, because I had that much water under my house.
Right.
There's no ditches on my side of the road. So even if we dug a 5-foot ditch from the culvert, if you wanna dig a ditch 1,000, 1,200, 1,500 feet across my property and get taken on and off, that's fine. But then you're gonna dump it on the next property, because we're about 12 inches lower than the road. And the next property is probably 3 foot lower than the road. So everything is moving that way. And there's no ditches on our side. The other side has got a big 5-foot ditch. As far as backing up 737, that's coming from the hospital. That used to flood in that barn back there. It used to be up in the loft of that barn when it would flood. But when they went and cleaned out all the beaver dams behind the hospital, they really haven't flooded back there since then. When it gets across the road every once in a while, that's coming off Armstrong's property there off the mountain where there is no ditch again. And it runs across and goes down into the swamp. And I understand, I know the people that lived the house before them had problems with the drainage across the back of that house. But you can't dump all that water on me when there's nowhere for it to go. Not when I've been there. I was the second house out there and been there for 23 years. There's a 5-foot ditch on that side of the road, more than capable of handling that water. That water has never, ever even come close to coming out of that ditch.
To the 737 issue, that map that's in front of Mr. Venable, you'll see the floodplain as it relates to Roseberry Creek, the tributary area to Roseberry Creek. And that intersection that was subject intersection on 737 Old Walkerville Road is actually in that floodplain, so sizable rainfall is in it.
Where the culverts are smashed in that hadn't been repaired with a 18-wheeler run off on them.
You could expect flooding in that area, it's actually in the floodplain.
You said there's a 5-foot ditch on the other side of the road?
Yeah, they got 36-inch culverts underneath those driveways on that side of the road. But now where they start, they're at the head. So I mean, it's the ditch in front of their house on that side of their driveway is not very big, but it's a whole lot different than what's on our side of the road. Once you cross over their driveway, you got a ditch that's as deep.
Can you ask him something for me since I'm addressing you? Did he flood from 2013 spring up until the Christmas floods? Was there any flooding damage with all the rains that we had there?
13 to when?
Until 15, Christmas of 15.
We had water coming over the driveway on 3 different occasions, didn't know where it's coming from. And then when the Christmas came in, it was so deep, I went out there trying to find out where the water was coming from and found that ditch open, found that pipe open.
So you think the flooding unstopped the pipe?
No, they unstopped the pipe.
All it had in it was dirt and limbs and leaves.
Okay.
But I'm not, even what I'm telling you is even if I wasn't getting flooded by that pipe, there is nowhere for that water to go except to our house.
Is there not a drainage ditch?
It's this
ditch
deep, man.
behind
You
your
got a
house?
36-inch culvert coming through there.
Get over that 5
If it's
foot.
flooding your driveway, you don't think it's gonna flood it.
But now, you asked him the question, did his house flood on Christmas 2015? Okay. Our house, even though we're setting up on the ridge, our house flooded, just the same as his did on the Christmas flood of 2015. So that's not even a gauge
Well,
to this whole situation.
2015's not gauged. for
Right,
anybody.
it's not a gauge.
You had people on Sand Mountain whose houses flooded.
Exactly. But we know it was an issue with the water when we purchased the house, because the house had mold under the house when we purchased it, from the fact that that was not draining as it should be.
If there was some way for the water to go on my side, I would be happy to work with it. There's just nowhere for it to go. I mean, it's just nowhere to go. Either you dump it at my house, or you go out and dump it in my pasture and dump
When
it on
it
the
comes
next.
over on your side, it basically is a standing pool until it eventually goes
No, I mean,
away.
it runs, like I said, we're about this much lower than the road, so we have a small swale there, so it can catch surface water.
Right.
So what happens when that pipe's so much water, there's just no way it can handle it. So it just runs right down the driveway.
It comes out too fast.
And it just runs straight down the driveway, straight to our house. I've got a big 36-inch drain that catches the water before it gets to our house. That runs underneath one of our detached garages, and it can't even handle it.
Yeah.
But I mean, even if it could, you still got nowhere for that water to go. You're running into the problem, the next person that builds a house on down, they're gonna be dumping all that water on them. And we dug a pond just to collect the surface water so it wouldn't dump on the next person, so we could channel it around. But there's just, like I said, you're that much lower than the road once you get down to that, past my house.
Is there any other discussion amongst the commissioners concerning this issue with either party?
Any questions at this time?
Well, I think at this time we'll take this into advisement still. It appears that, according to Mr. Campbell, the engineer, that this is the best possible procedure is being taken place right now as is. Is there any of the commissioners would like to go and look at the site or then go farther with it?
I'd like to go out and look at it with you sometime first year,
Absolutely.
just to check it out. Not question anything been said here tonight, but I'd just like to see it also.
There's a big tree on the backside of our property. If there was a way to go from that culvert between my property and the neighbor's property to get that water down to that creek without bringing it across either one of us, I would be happy to let you guys do it. But that's a long way. I mean, it's probably 500-600 feet from the road down to that creek. That's the only solution without flooding me or my neighbor. That's the only way you're gonna get the water off. If you're gonna bring it across the road. And there's just no other alternative.
Okay, at this time, we will move forward, and Mr. C.S., the engineer, will come down and look at the situation, and I would say just go from there.
So we're gonna rock this on for another 2 years.
No, I like I said, see, I'm not gonna say it ain't problem be solved, but I have not seen the issue and what's going on, and I'd like to go up after the first year sometime, come down.
Okay, well, we've waited 2 years now. so
I was
we're
told
ready.
that they were gonna come out and fix our ditch. Whether it stays stopped up or not, I was told it was gonna come out and be fixed.
How was you told that it would be fixed?
Finish the rip-rap job, whatever, where I could maintain it, because you can't do nothing but spray it now. The way it's rip-rap, the grass is gonna grow, and I gotta spray it. So that's gonna cause erosion. But if I don't spray it, then I'm gonna have weeds this tall and briars grow up in my yard again. So what am I supposed to do? Buy Roundup, keep it killed out?
What is your suggestion on how that part should be fixed?
Well,
You say dirt should go over it, or?
initially, my suggestion was, when we found out the water line was being put in on the other side, was to ditch it out all the way down and put the proper size tile on the other side of the road. Then you wouldn't have as much flooding out of the banks of a ditch that wasn't there. But that was unheard of, so the water line was put in, then they come back and replace tiles in his driveway. Nothing's ever been done now. I've got parts that's got rock, I got parts that don't have rock. So if I keep spraying it, it's gonna keep the grass killed out, there's gonna eventually be erosion down through there. I was told it would be fixed. That's why I'm here today.
Told you it would be fixed, how though?
That was supposed to be Matthew Hodges, and Mr. Campbell here was supposed to come back out and give us an answer on it. Matthew left, you never came back to my house. That was the last time you and Matthew stood in my yard and told me that.
What conversation y'all discussed about what would be done, I did not know about.
You were standing
You were
right
standing
there.
right there.
We were
Because
talking amongst the four of
There was a
us.
lot of ideas discussed, like opening the pipe halfway. I know that was mentioned as a
that's
possibility.
okay.
Along with other things.
I know what your stand is on it.
Yeah.
So if you'll come out the first of the year, we'll be happy to meet
I
with
wanna
you
meet
and
you there and
whoever
show you.
comes.
We'll do.
Thank you.
I appreciate your time.
Thanks, sir. Okay, the next thing that we have is, all right, thanks. Thanks a lot.
Get the sign-in sheet on the paper here.
Make sure you get the paper on there. I'll pick everything up tomorrow. Thank you.
The next thing that we have is work session discussion items for the commission. First thing we have is park surplus, 1993 Ford F-150 and 2004 F-150. Mr. Barnes?
Those two vehicles are not roadworthy. They need a lot of work to get them roadworthy. We got the two vehicles from the maintenance department, which they're pretty good trucks. And we were gonna surplus these two, put them on better deals.
If there's no discussion, we'll place this on the agenda for the next commission meeting. Next thing we have is Mountain Lakes Behavioral Health Care. We have a one board expired term. It says unexpired, but it is, one of them is actually not expired, that the gentleman just resigned. And we have a letter in your packet of his resignation letter. And also in it, we have someone that has,
Shown interest.
would like to show interest in being on the board.
That person's been very good for quite a while.
From what I understand, there's another one that has resigned, but we have yet to receive the letter, so this will be coming again,
So we're gonna take nominations on the next meeting.
the next meeting. So if there's no objection, we'll place this on the agenda for the next commission meeting. Next thing we have is county dump truck rotation program. Mr. Campbell?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If you all likely remember, back in September 2017, we were outlined a proposal from J. Wood Auction Company to auction, take possession and auction our 3 tri-axle dump trucks and road tractor. And that amount was for $566,315, which we were agreeable to and chose to move forward with. So in keeping with that, these options are what we would like to pursue in replacement. So the first thing I'd like to draw your attention to in your packet should be the comparison between the Max and the Kenworths. And this is pursuant to the advisement from J.M. Wood on the moving forward with looking at the possibility of Kenworth trucks versus Max. So this changed price point and different options that the Kenworth is offering has brought them into this same market that we've normally relied on the Max for. So that comparison is what that's for. And in the yellow, you'll notice the dual exhaust is $124.71. I bring attention to that because what I'm proposing tonight is they're dual exhaust trucks. There's a couple of reasons for that. Resale was one, and second is that's what's on order. So if we don't do the dual exhaust, not by me, but by the truck company, if we don't do that, it's gonna take a special order and probably delay any kind of delivery. So that's the comparison sheet, and then the proposal you'll see with the dump truck on it, and that's for the tri-axle, and the proposal for the road tractor, you'll see the picture of the road tractor. Now, that price that you see is just the cab and chassis. It'll still have the body. So that is the sheet here. So what I'm proposing for your consideration is that $124.71 plus the $24,239 for the body times 3. That gets us at $434,130. And then the road tractor is $122,300. So we're at $566,430, And then by the time we do our ACCA fees for this, that's another 5,000. So we're at 561, 430, which should be under our proposal for our current trucks.
And Kenworths are actually hold more weight, right? The
Um,
front axle and things I was noticing on the comparison.
Yeah, heavier duty axles, yeah, that's right, and a little more horsepower. But the real attraction is the forecasted resale. So we're, the MIC program's been good to us. I can't fuss on that, but, the market, as Mr. Wood, if y'all remember his comments, it's pretty flooded on that type vehicle. So we're hoping to kind of differentiate a little with these. And then if you remember also with our, medium duty trucks, we went Kenworth with that. So we would be unifying brands, so.
Kind of shocking is that road tractor by, tractor.
I know.
Any other discussion concerning the truck?
One detail I forgot, sorry, Chairman. If you all remember with this guarantee and this proposal, that number was for this year, but they also guaranteed that if we went Kenworth, that we were guaranteed our money back. That guarantee was, we could renew that for up to 3 years, so we really can't go wrong in my opinion. And it was a reduced commission rate for them to sell it.
Well, if there's no objection, we'll place this on the agenda for the next commission meeting. Next, we have reports from the staff. Ms. Johnson, do you have anything from the administrator? Mr. Barnes from the clerk? Mr. Campbell?
No, sir, thank you.
Ms. Claire from the attorney's office?
No, sir.
Well, now we have comments from the commission. Ms. Gilbert? Mr. Sis?
As long as there's water problems, all I know, I'm fine.
Mr. Bell?
Wish everybody a Merry Christmas.
Yes, sir.
See you around.
Mr. Guthrie? That concludes everything on the agenda for today's work session, so with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion, have a second.
Second motion.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no.